So, tell us, you come from Australia, right?
Yes, I do.
You have been in Lima for how many days now?
So I just came here yesterday without luggage.
Without luggage?
My luggage is somewhere in between Auckland and Santiago.
Okay, don't mention the company, just in case.
No.
Don't you think that they're building too much in Lima? That there's too much construction going on?
You never have. I think you have to have progress.
Okay.
And with progress will come construction. The challenge will, of course, be managing the traffic, moving the people around. But there's no harm in having all the construction. It's a renewal of a city over time. I think Lima's 400 years old or so. So this renewal is fantastic.
But so the key is to manage this construction, you say?
Yes.
Don't you think then that it's too chaotic? The construction here.
Chaotic. I spend a lot of time in places like Shanghai and other parts of the world, and this is just as chaotic as those places. So it's always happening the same way. The question is more about how do you actually manage that process and have, through that period of time, have construction without interrupting their lives too much.
Okay, but there is some worries about construction too much for people with money, and very little for people who ship houses and ship flats and so on. So, is this kind of system that you're here to promote helping in this sense, or?
So what I'm been talking about is just marketing of property.
Okay.
And the good thing about marketing of property is you can be marketing property at $100,000 or property at $2 million.
Okay.
You market all property. The question is, and more people are accessing the internet over time, and that tends to be a generational access, not necessarily a socio-economic access. So over time, more and more people will have access to the internet and thus be able to search for property, whether they're looking for the $100,000 place, whether they're looking for a place to rent, share accommodation, or even to buy the multi-million-dollar place.
So that's very interesting. This thing you say that the access to internet is not related to socio-economical situation, but generational, right? So this will help for people who want to buy to know where to search, right?
Certainly, it's all about finding the right property for your needs. Now, at the moment, if you want to find something that's either at the lower end of the spectrum to buy or even to rent, it might be hard to actually see the whole market. Yeah. The objective of the internet is to provide you access with as much of the market as possible so that you can make an informed decision.
What about the people constructing? Is this system generate some kind of information that helps them?
Sure. There's two ways in which it can help for construction. Mm-hmm. First of all, it can help the people who are looking to do construction to identify great locations to build. And remember, people will do construction not just at the top end, but also at the bottom end. There is demand at all ends of the spectrum. And the second thing is it helps them market those properties once they've actually built them. So the two things work hand in hand. The more information that's out there, the better decisions that people will make.
Mm-hmm. So this is what I was worrying at the beginning, that this kind of system generates information to help people manage this chaotic construction.
Yes, and it can over time. But I think the issue, though, is that if there is demand, and at the end of the day, people will only build new buildings if there is long-term demand for them, that it's going to be chaotic. But then what it's doing is transforming Lima. So who will be interested in this kind of service? Sure, there'll be sort of a couple of categories. In terms of advertisers, it's definitely real estate agents, brokers, developers, franchise groups, the industry itself, like to get information about what's happening in the market. All that group benefits from this, and then it's the consumer, the person who wants to buy, rent, share accommodation, invest, overseas investors. There's a whole range of people who can now have access to more information and thus, for whatever their decision-making purposes, make better decisions.
Who pays for this? The consumer or the company?
Well, the consumer doesn't pay. It's always free to search.
Oh, the consumer doesn't pay?
Doesn't pay, no.
Okay,
it's always free to search.
That's great.
But it's the advertiser. But it's no different to newspapers, right? The advertiser would go buy space in a newspaper in the hope of attracting people to buy their product. The internet is the same. You have to buy space on the internet, pixels, if you think of it that way, and you can then put up your listings. And the good thing about the internet is it is so much cheaper than traditional print, and that's the benefit.
And what about the information that it generates? Because in the process, you know what the people are searching more or what kind of places or what kind of flats they want. So you are generating their information that is very valuable to the company, right?
It's certainly valuable to the agents, and one of the side benefits is that historically they would probably advertise in a newspaper, and all they knew is they bought space in a newspaper, but they really wouldn't know what was happening. Where people, you can't tell what page people look at, what page they don't. However, online we can tell what ads they looked at, what ads they didn't look at, how long they spent online, level of engagement, number of inquiries or leads that they sent to agents. And then I assume what you know, and I'm not sure what Marc Entre's long-term plans are, but it would make sense for them to produce some industry reports. What is happening in the industry? And to publicise that. If we look overseas at everything from realestate.co.nz in New Zealand through to Rightmove in the United Kingdom, they are producing on a monthly basis a snapshot of what's happening in the market. And that's then being provided to everyone free of charge.